Hello everyone, welcome to a new video on martial politics. Today I'll be doing a video on immigration to the United States, which I have not done a very concise video on this topic. I have mentioned it in previous videos, in my video about Senator Bernie Sanders and that Vox interview in 2015. I did mention it there, uh, but in this video, I will be discussing immigration more thoroughly, and basically give my position on the issue. So basically, my position on the issue of immigration is that illegal and legal immigration should be heavily limited. Uh, illegal immigration obviously completely gone, eradicated, um, and legal immigration pretty much completely limited. Maybe limited to a level where you only like accept immigrants from Europe, like a limited amount. But other than that, I don't support our current immigration level at all, and I'd like to see that level dramatically reduced. And I say this for a reason that I will discuss in this video. So, what we have seen in the United States has really been drastic in terms of what a ruling class has done, importing essentially, as described in Tucker Carlson's Ship of Fools, a new serf class. So basically, the argument is always that that immigrants, illegal or legal, are doing jobs that regular Americans would never do or whatever. And this argument has been made consistently, and again, it fails on the most basic level, and it really just undermines really what is the obligation of uh, politicians to American citizens, basically to represent them. But uh, politicians are more concerned with their own power, and immigration is a tool that has been used by both the Republican and Democratic parties in order to fulfill some sort of partisan or economic angle. So, with the Republican Party, what it's been is that they know, rightfully so. I mean, the Republican Party receives tons of uh, lobbying and money from large corporations who want to pay less to their workers, obviously. And so what they've done is they've basically pushed for increased legal immigration, and they usually use this ridiculous talking point for this a million times of the melting pot theory or whatever, and that the United States is basically like a mix of different cultures all into one. It's like it's complete nonsense. Um, and also the thing with immigration that I'm gonna like get into here, and an interesting the thing about immigration is that really uh, it's a cultural and an economic issue. I'd argue, in my opinion, because there's vast amount of cultural effects of it, and vast amount of economic effects because of it. Um, Culturally, obviously, what we've seen is we've had a dramatic rise in the amount of people who live in the United States, and there's many Hispanic communities, and at home they're not speaking English, they're speaking Spanish, and you'll have that for a very long time. Like a lot of these people, their first language, it isn't American English, it's it's Spanish or whatever other language that may be. So yeah, that has a profound impact on our culture, and it undermines, the creation of the United States, which is white and European. Um, and again, it undermines the basically establishment of the United States, and it's absolutely unacceptable. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna read from here. So, a 2018 story in National Geographic about Hazleton, Pennsylvania is typical of the genre. And the year 2000, the story explained, Hazleton was 95% white and less than 5% Hispanic. So 95% white, and just 16 years later, remember, the Hispanics were less than 5% of the population, but 16 years later, 52% of Hazleton residents were Hispanic, and less than half spoke English at home, what I was talking about before. People who grew up there didn't recognize the city. They didn't hate immigrants. Most Americans don't, but they were bewildered. Um, and again, uh, it's really ridiculous. And what you've seen with this is where you have mass immigration into these American towns. You saw this in a storm like Iowa, where Steve King, I think he was born there. He represented that. I think he might have represented that area in Congress. But uh, so yeah, I actually have a story up here about Storm. Like this is from 2017, I believe. Yeah, May 2017. And the headline is, it's typical neoliberal garbage. It says immigrants keep an Iowa meatpacking town alive and growing. Waves of Asian, African, and Latino newcomers have filled jobs at pork, egg, and turkey plants where wages have fallen and work has grown more grueling. So basically what is argued in this article is that this mass immigration has somehow kept the economy alive in the town, and that things are like absolutely fine, and it's absolutely unbelievable. And the argument of there's another article from the Times. I wasn't able to find it. I should have done more in-depth research on that, but I have it here, book here. Um, so here, what's striking is how the Times interpreted all of this. 20 years before, the story might have been framed as a victory of management over labor. So basically, uh, they interviewed Tyson workers that worked in like all these meat packaging places and slaughterhouses. So the Times presented it basically, of course, as a win for diversity and whatever, which is the same thing that's being purported here. So they say while more than 88% of the state's population is non Hispanic white, less than half of Storm Lakes is. Walk through the halls of the public schools and you can hear as many as 18 languages. Mass immigration reporter Patricia Cohen concluded, had kept the Iowa meatpacking town alive and growing. Third world immigration saves another American town. Very comedically, Tucker Carlson adds that. So yes, again, the argument being made is that, of course, immigration, it basically always helps the United States. There's never any circumstances where it doesn't. And anytime any like common sense statistics are brought out about um, immigration, basically killing workers' unions and lowering wages, is that what they do is they, of course, they resort to the typical nonsense, white supremacist, racist, and it completely deflects from the central argument being made. And again, this isn't like this. This is one part of it, but really the larger motive for the Democratic Party to support mass immigration is that um of course uh if they can be, again, I saw a clip from Tucker Carlson discussing this very well actually. uh he discussed how basically, it's essentially demographic replacement what's going on. They're packing the electorate and basically replacing the white majority population in the United States with people who will more serve the interest of the Democratic Party. Because, of course, if you haven't seen the statistics, Hispanic immigrants widely vote mostly for the Republican Party, even though um, those trends have kind of slightly receded because of the gains Trump made in 2020 among Hispanics, but that's very minimal. Uh, but the larger argument I'm talking about here is how, of course, if they pack the electorate with with Hispanic immigrants, and they promise them citizenship, government jobs, government benefits, etc. If they do that, then they can, invite people into the United States, and once they legalize them, you're basically going to have a monopoly on, you're going to basically control the entire electorate, and that's how you secure political power for your party. I mean, it's not that very hard to understand, but that's really, I'd say, that's the real underlying part of the Democratic Party supporting such uh, mass immigration as well. And I mean, like, they still serve the same corporate interests as well. So they also want they also work for people who want more immigration because they want to pay their workers less, and they don't want things threatening their power like trade unions, which will be undermined in turn by legal or illegal immigration. More so, I'd say legal immigration at a certain level, because illegal immigrants are different. The illegal immigrants will work for far less than a legal immigrant would, and again, it undermines the American it undermines the American family, which is again the basis for building a functioning and happy society. Um, so yes, that's the argument made by the neoliberals, but again, they've done various other things. They basically argue that the system is unfair to minority immigrants, and that like somehow they're being oppressed or whatever, and it's typical hilarious nonsense. I mean, when you have since 1965, so let me I hope that I remember this correctly. I think it was in 1965 there was a bill passed um by, yeah, here we go, the Immigration Nationality Act of 1965. Um this bill basically, after this, it basically shifted, like it dramatically shifted the American immigration system, and it basically began to favor immigrants like from Latin America, Asia, Africa, etc. Um, and in turn, that bill, when it was passed in 1965, it was the United States was, I think, 84% white. And then when Congress stopped favoring immigration from Europe, as I said, America became has become, we're, I think, I think we're below 60% white now. And it's dramatically shifted the demographics in the United States. And I don't think it's really comparable to like any other country. Imagine, like, I don't know, um, let's say Poland, for example. Poland is basically 99.9% white. They've basically always been like that. But let's imagine, I don't know, in 1950, even, 1950, we'll say, um I don't know, you had, I guess, mass immigration from Africa, for example. Even well, I mean, this is just a hypothetical scenario, by the way. It shouldn't be taken very seriously. But like, imagine you have a very, more you don't have a very diverse society when you have such mass immigration from areas that are, you know culturally different, um economically different. Everything is different, and then you invite people from those countries to your country. You're going to experience vast amount of changes, mostly negative, um, and that can really undermine a society. And I mean, like, imagine Poland was probably, again, like, probably 99.9% white. Imagine, I don't know, next 85% of the population is white. Even that would be a massive difference if that were to just happen in a matter of a few decades. Imagine, just think about the things that it does to society. It really, again, it undermines a country culturally and economically as well. I'll get more to the economic parts right now, actually. So, what has happened with, I've mentioned this throughout the video, but what's happened because of mass immigration and just immigration overall is you've had, again, a new serf class imported into the United States, which will work for lower wages for multinational corporations. The corporations don't care. Again, the corp, excuse me, the corporations of the United States only care for making profit. They don't care for their workers or the communities their workers are a part of. It doesn't even matter. The families, it doesn't matter at all. The first interest for most all I'm just say all it's pretty much it's all American multinational corporations is that they only care about making the profit and cutting costs for paying workers and maintaining, I don't know, like basic worker conditions for their workers. So um so here it says, the Times interviewed again a Tyson employee whose hourly wage had remained at $16 an hour for over 37 years, and it says later on that her wage degraded below, I think it was 14, no, yeah, $14 or so, $4, sorry, no, oh sorry, I'm thinking, sorry, $13 an hour. That's what I'm thinking. I'm sorry. Yeah, the worker's wage degraded below $13 per hour as a result of the mass immigration because of these workers. And again, all these things, as I've said continuously, it undermines the American family, which is the building block uh, for our society. It's the building block for all societies, in my opinion. Um, really, individually, we're really nothing until we start a family and we raise the next generation of people. And, we're determined to care for them, give them education, happiness, prosperity, stable family, etc. Like basic things that in my opinion, that all people deserve. And we've again that's been undermined continuously by a ruling class who doesn't care for the people, and that's really the message we need to push out to the um, American population. Uh, our leaders don't care for us at all. You can see that continuously with their push for corporate tax cuts, basically no care for mass immigration or people suffering in poverty. They don't care. They don't care at all. Really, again, it's the corporations who hold the power in our society, and they control our politicians. And again, that really needs to change in order for the American family to be secure and prosperous and happy and churn. Because I mean, our middle class is essentially dead. When you undermine the cultural stability and economic stability of a country, which leads to the death of the class of people that really make the country great, the middle class, you're going to experience terrible, drastic things. And, you know, our our politicians don't care. They don't care at all. And yeah, I don't want to be repeating myself over and over again. But the final point I will say is that both politicians, both parties, the Democratic and Republican parties, they don't care about the American family and the well-being of their constituents. They consistently favor foreigners, foreign governments, corporations, etc. They don't care for the American people, and we've really seen terrible leadership by the Republican Party and the Republican Party is a joke. I mean, what kind of opposition are they even? They're absolutely garbage. Uh, and Yeah, and actually, in the two first 2 years of Trump's administration, um, Paul Ryan he did not push for the legislation that Trump had promised for. I mean, it's Trump's fault too, but definitely Paul Ryan didn't help at all. I mean, he's absolutely terrible, and he put out ads saying like, "Oh, we're going to protect the southern border or whatever," but the only thing that he was able to do was to get corporate tax cuts and increased basically essentially more immigration. And the final thing I will mention in the 2017 government spending bill. Let me get this here. It says the bill did not pay for border security, not in America. Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, and Tunisia all received American tax dollars to deal with their immigration problems. Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, and Tunisia. It also included $10 million, listen to this, to hire female law enforcement officers, and guess where? Afghanistan. $10 million for disadvantaged students in Egypt, and $12 million to boost the military capacity of Vietnam. China, whose economy is now larger than America's, received $15 million in developmental aid. And guess what? For promoting yak herding or in Tibet or something. And also Congress gave itself a pay raise as well. So yes, again, failure of leadership of our elected representatives, and that's my final point. Our current immigration system is yet again another issue that points out the incompetency of our ruling class, who doesn't care for the interests of the American family and the American middle class. We need to change where power is held in society, and elect people who actually care for the well-being of their citizens rather than special interests, foreign governments, and yeah, corporations, etc. Uh, Again, thank you for watching this video. Kind of repeated myself in certain parts. If you have any questions or comments or anything, then of course you're free to leave them in the comments down below. But I hope you all have an excellent day. And also have a nice Easter as well. This will be coming out today on Easter. I hope you all have an excellent day, and I will see you all in the next video. Oh, and of course, follow me on Twitter as well. And for everyone, have an excellent day.